All right, somebody let me know how it looks on YouTube so we can get started. They're not that great. All right, let's see. You lie. Hey, Mike, how does it? Let me know how it sounds, bro, on YouTube, please. Like, let me know inside the comment of YouTube. All good. All right. All right, who's reading?
I can. Okay, 8. It says Mordecai promoted. Verse 1. On that day did the king Ahazerus give the house of Hmon, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the things seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his sight, in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month of Sivan, and the deputies and rulers in the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post and on horseback, and riders city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their lives, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Upon one day, in all the provinces of King Ahazerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 20th month, which is the month of Adar, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province, which was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel, rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
Okay. All right. So what happened here in 8? What's the whole point of 8?
Well, I believe it was chapter 3. The Hmon, he was Agag, and King Ahazerus gave him authority, and Hmon did not like Mordecai, so he wanted to unalive.
No, let's not talk about that. I just want to know what is happening in 8.
Okay, so because of all of that, he reversed the authority he gave to Hmon.
Okay, so all right, so the authority he gave to Hmon, he pretty much revoked it, right?
Yes.
All right, and what else?
Exactly.
And what else happened? Okay, so it says, so in verse 9, right, because we are in Esther 8:9, it says, then were the king's scribes called at the time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Sivian, says the 3 and 20th day thereof, and it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants and the deputies, rulers of provinces, which are from India, Ethiopia, 127 provinces, and to every province is according to the writing thereof, and to every people of their language, to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Xerxes' name. So who wrote this? Who wrote this?
Haman.
Haman?
Mordecai.
Oh, my bad.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm gonna read it again. So Esther 8:9, it says, then were the king's scribes called at the time in the 3rd month, that's right, in the month of Sivian, on the 3 and the 20th day thereof, and it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded. So the scribes wrote down what Mordecai said. So that means that the authority that was given to Haman was now given to Mordecai, right?
Right.
All right. So now that he has the authority by Xerxes to do these things, look at this part right here. It says, and Mordecai, this is 15, Esther 8:15, and Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel, blue and white, What does the colors mean, blue and white? What's those colors?
Faith and purity.
Yeah, faith and purity.
Blue and faith.
Yeah, and I remember talking about Mordecai's apparel, and the color blue that's used here in English could be purple or violet, right? But blue itself is faith, and we know that purple and violet, those colors are pointing out to royalty, but white is always purity, faith and truth. Yeah, white could be truth. Yeah, because the truth is not a lie, it's pure, it's truth. So, yeah, white can be truth as well. But this is how it says it, blue and white, and with a great crown of gold. And doesn't even Paul talk? Yeah, and it says, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. So I remember studying this, and because I see purple here, then I kind of take blue for what it is, because it wouldn't be purple and purple, even though violet is not the color purple. Or when I was studying this, of course, this was years ago, but I remember blue not actually be, matter of fact, somebody look it up. Maybe I'm wrong about the color violet, but I remember blue not being actually the color blue. Can somebody
Violet, it derives from blue.
Do what now? Yeah, but what? Okay. Well, I need you to look it up in Hebrew, though, bruh. Hebrew.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Hebrew. Because violet is not purple, but it has like a purple tone, just like it has kind of like a bluish tone, because it's not purple itself. But I just remember blue, the color blue, it's not actually blue. I remember that. I just don't recall. I'm saying violet, but I'm kind of guessing. Nate, let's see. Nate, hey, I work with your brother.
Blue.
I had a question about symbolism of hair. Okay, I'll go over hair real quick. Nate, we're actually in the story of Esther right now, but I'm.
Yeah, you right. It's violet.
Violet. Okay, I knew it wasn't blue. The only reason why I guessed violet is because I already see purple. But I remember saying, and I don't highlight I don't put markings in my Bible. Like, I don't have no note here that says, hey, remember. I just remember that it wasn't blue. I just remember that. And I knew it wasn't purple because it says purple right here. So I was like, I think it was violet. But either way, and we know that all those colors, the majority of them are always pointing to the high priest garments. It's always pointing to that because it's pointing to the raiment, the covering garment that we will be receiving by the King Christ, right? But it says, and with the garment of fine linen, purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad, and the Jews had light, gladness, joy, and honor. Notice it points to the Jews having light again. Remember when they were in Egypt? Remember the 10 plagues? And one of the plagues talks about over Egypt, it was dark, but it was still light in the land of, somebody help me out, Goshen, right? Is that it? Yeah. Land of Goshen. All right, 17. Oh, what's up? Somebody gonna say something?
No, there's a delay. I said Goshen.
Oh, and it says in every province and every city, whether theresoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, feast, and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. It's crazy. All right, so we already read 1 through 7, right? So we did 8 today, and I know Jennifer was just trying to recap earlier, and she was just trying to point out that in chapters 1 through 7, it's very black and white, this area. Haman did not like Mordecai because he didn't bend the knee at the gate. Esther knew that Haman had these plans to unalive her people, and basically, even though she knew that she could have been unalive, she presented herself before the king anyway, and he put out his scepter. And after he put out his scepter, she touched it, and they began to have a conversation, which led to her making a banquet, right? So let's go look at this banquet real quick. Somebody help me see where it's at, where she first starts telling him about a banquet that she wants to make. Maybe in 4 or 5. Top, let's see.
Okay, so the header for 5:1 is Esther's banquet.
5:9?
For 4, it says, and Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him.
All right, right there. So it says a banquet that I have prepared for him, that she prepared. Okay? And if y'all recall, do y'all remember what I went over about what Esther is representing? Nobody remembers?
Wisdom?
Yeah, wisdom. Remember, that's not the same thing. The spirit itself is a male. Wisdom itself, the attribute of wisdom is feminine. You understand? Anytime I go over this, there's, oh man, TikTok. There are so many people, what? How dare you say that the spirit is female? And I'm like, what are they talking about? This is how you know that people who claim that they're so familiar with scripture, they had no idea what I was talking about. And when I say people on TikTok, if you've seen them, all of them, it was it was crazy how, and then they realized, oh, it was us that didn't know what we were talking about. Misunderstood is because they didn't understand that wisdom was feminine. If so, they wouldn't have said that the spirit is being called female. No, not the spirit of wisdom. The spirit of wisdom, that one attribute is feminine. So the spirit itself is masculine. The spirit is male. Wisdom is a her or a she in the Bible. So Esther is representing wisdom. Just like when Jacob was told by his quote unquote mother, she said, hey, do everything I tell you to do. Who was it that prepared the meal for the father? Who did that? Go to this place. You're going to see a man with a jar of water. Follow him in the house. And what are they told to do? What does he say? What's the purpose of that? Because he's going to prepare the meal in the upper room, right? Right. But we see Jesus doing this. So we stop saying it's the wisdom of God because we don't see the feminism there. We don't see it. But it's there because Jesus has the spirit. But the fact that he's saying, I'm going to prepare it, it's still wisdom. Even though it's him, it's still wisdom. That attribute stays the same. But it's wisdom preparing the upper room. Wisdom preparing the savory meat for Isaac. It's wisdom wedding, however you want to say it. So we know that at this banquet that she prepared, she calls out Haman and says, hey, this is the evil man that I'm talking about. And then so the gallows that he was trying to build, or he built for Mordecai, they ended up being used against him. And then so here we are in chapter 8, where it's basically saying that everything that Haman was trying to do got revoked. And what actually happened is let's see, RBH. Anybody know who RBH is? Man, why you RBH? You kind of, what do you call it? Trolling the live, or what do you call it when someone just puts a bunch of nonsense in there? Looking over the comment section like that, buddy. All right. Okay, so that's 8. So that's where we're at. We just see, remember, all we're doing is we're going from Hmon, instead of going to the gallows, he ends up walking away with a decree that he wrote through the scribes, decreeing to set the Jews free. So this is where we're at. We're at this part. But I just wanted to pay attention that it talks about the insignia, talking about the ring, right? My God. I warned you, buddy. I warned you. Excuse me. About the ring. In 8. We just read it. Let me see.
It's an 8. It's an 8-2.
8-2. Man, what was the name of that dude that said he came over here because of my brother? I don't think he's in here anymore. Well,
His name was Nate.
Nate, that's who it was. Let me see if I can. Oh, Nate, you're still in here? Bro, that's weird because I don't see you in the room. That's odd. How are you in the comments and I don't see you in the room? Yeah. Nate, is your account private, bro? You got a private account? Oh, follow back? Okay, let me follow. I'm following you now. That's weird. That's very weird that I don't know why the person's not actually in the room.
It is because he's private. He said yes.
Okay.
When their accounts are private,
all right.
They don't show in the room.
Yeah, that's cool. That's no problem.
2.
In 2? Let's see. The king took off his ring.
2.
Yeah, the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Hmon, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Hmon. Who set Mordecai? Wisdom did. Wisdom did that. Right? What allowed Daniel to be the wisest man out of all the wise men? What did that? Wisdom, the wisdom of God, right? The wisdom did that. What caused Barak to go to Deborah? And he says to Deborah, if you don't go to battle with me, I'm not going. What is he asking for if it's not the wisdom of God? You understand? Deborah, honeybee. It's the wisdom. Because this world, the Bible makes it very clear that it's foolishness. Again, when your eyes are focused on the fallen world, right? The things that are corruptible. But the thing that's not corruptible is Deborah. Or Esther. What does Esther's name mean? Do y'all remember? She's got 2 names that's given to her. What does her name mean? Yeah, we got to do a little recap.
I remember Hadassah was the tree.
Okay.
Which was her original, and Esther.
Yeah. Does anybody remember? It's 2 names.
Esther means star.
Yeah, Esther.
Esther means star.
Esther means star. What's the other name mean?
Myrtle.
That she? Huh?
Myrtle.
Myrtle.
Tree.
Yeah, which is
Myrtle
a tree.
tree.
Right. So she's She's a tree star, star tree, tree light, light star. Or how about burning bush or burning tree? Oh, man. It just so happens to be her name. And people will say that. Okay, so that is 8. That's just what Hmon had in place. It got revoked now because of the banquet that Esther equals wisdom made. Wisdom made the banquet, called out that which is evil. The king, being a wise king, obviously in this state, had favor over Esther and made Mordecai his right-hand man. Now, whatever he says, the scribes write it down and it will be decreed, right? That's where we're at. So we're about to hop to 9, but before we do, let me make sure, Nate. Okay, Nate, you still here? Give me a yes or I'm still here, and we'll go over here just real quick. I don't know how much time you have to listen, but I definitely don't want to take up someone's time when they're looking for something specific. All right, so Benny, you want to, regardless if you have a Bible or not, you got Google, okay? I don't know why people hate Google. It's okay to use Google to find a verse in the Bible, but I do not recommend you reading the verse from Google. I don't recommend that, okay? Just use it to help you find a verse, go to your actual Bible and look it up. One day you might get got. You might say, it's right here, Joshua 2:1. And then you read it and it says, and the witches of so-and-so and the warlocks of Nimrod or whatever. I mean, he's like, bro, that's not what Joshua 2:1 says. What are you talking about? Yeah, so let's look at a few things regarding hair in the Bible. And if you don't go study a lot of these, Nate, you'll kind of be lost, man. So you need to go study a lot more of this as a matter, okay, which is at Descaled Live. That's Descaled's YouTube account. At the @ symbol, Descaled Live. Go follow, or it's called subscribe on YouTube. Go subscribe to Descaled's YouTube account and go to the live section, right? You're going to see shorts, videos, lives. Go hit lives. All these lives are recorded on YouTube. Okay, so go in there and just slowly go through there and read titles. And there should be at least 2 or 3 where I'm discussing hair. I'm not saying you got to do that now. I'm saying I'm going to go over some of them with you. And whenever we're done, I highly recommend going and finding some of those. And if you can't find them, I apologize. Maybe the title of it's not there, because there are some that doesn't have a title. But you can go over there and hear some more about some hair action in the Bible. So obviously the first place I usually go is the story of Samson, because the story of Samson is 100% about this man's hair. 100%. And just to make a quick point, the Bible tells us that without faith that we're weak. The Bible says that. So when people hear me talk about Samson being a shadow of Christ, and they'll say things like, the Bible never says that Samson didn't have faith. No, bro, it didn't. But what he was representing a servant. He served the people as a judge, okay? But the thing is, he was just a man. He wasn't God, but he was a shadow of Christ. So Samson's name means sunlight. The Bible tells us that Jesus is the light of the world. So it's not a coincidence that this man's name is Sunlight. And whenever Delilah finally started asking him, where does your strength lie? 3 times he tells her, he's not lying to her. She says, you lie to me these 3 times. Samson didn't lie. You just have to understand what he's saying about the ropes and the beam, but he's not lying to her. But he was speaking to her parabolically, okay? So she keeps saying, you're lying to me. It's not that. She didn't understand what he was saying. So he says, all right. So now he speaks plainly to her, and he says, since I was young, my hair has never been cut. So he tells her, if you cut my hair, I will be as weak as any other man. And so the hair is cut. He's weak. We know it. They pluck his eyes out. He has to have a little child walk him over to the pillars, and he goes to the pillars, and he says, let me have, he's praying to God, and he says, let me have vengeance this one time for my eyes that were taken from me. But before this happens, it says Samson's hair began to grow back. Okay? It says his hair began to grow back. It's like they forgot you have to keep hair off his head. It's not good. Like, we want to keep this guy bald-headed. So his hair began to grow back. He speaks to the Lord about knocking the pillar or having revenge. And it says he pushed the pillars down and it unalives everybody. Right? That's because hair in the Bible represents faith. That's what it represents. There's a story in the Bible about a man named Elijah. Okay? And it says that there were young men that mocked him and they called him bald-headed. Hey, bald-headed, go up, bald-headed. They're mocking him, saying that he was bald-headed. And it says that a she-bear, female bear, comes out of the woods, 2 of them, I think. And it says, mauled up these young men. And it's not easy to see that the she-bear represented wisdom. That's what it represented. Not the spirit, okay? Even though you can say that, but it was wisdom. But these young men were destroyed by a she-bear because they were mocking Elijah. The Bible tells us that the spirit and flesh are enmity. And it says that the flesh will always mock the spirit, and the spirit will mock the flesh. So in the story of Abraham and Sarah, they have Abraham has a first child named Ishmael. But he has a second child, which is the first child with Sarah, and his name is Isaac. And it says that when Isaac, I think when Isaac became weaned, I think it talks about Ishmael mocking him. Well, the Bible makes it clear that Ishmael is of the flesh and Isaac is of the spirit. So you see again the flesh mocking the spirit. It's the same thing that's taking place here where these young men are mocking Elijah, and the thing that they happen to be mocking is his bald, quote unquote, bald head. Well, if the Bible says that the flesh mocks the spirit, then he's being mocked spiritually. And it just so happens that they're calling him bald-headed, like if he lacks hair or lacks faith, and he doesn't. He doesn't, which proves that he didn't, because a she-bear came out of the woods and unalived or marred these young men. Does anybody else got an example of hair? I got 2 more in my head. Anybody else got one? Can anybody think of one? No?
No, I'm trying to, what's his name? Ezekiel, when God showed him a vision, he pulled him up by his hair.
Yeah, but that one's a little more difficult to explain. Nothing more simple? No? You're not wrong, but that one's not easy for some people to see. How about Nebuchadnezzar?
Britt had a good one.
What?
That's a really good one, brother. But Britt had one also. She said Mary, when she anoints Jesus' feet with her hair.
Yeah, you're talking about yeah, exactly. And that one's not easy to see either, because everybody's like, well, she had long hair, so she used her hair. But no, you can 100% use that one. Yeah, that's what somebody just brought up. Trey, Job shaves his hair 100%. Job is 100%, again, a shadow of Christ, his name being persecuted and hated. It was God that points him out, right? You see this very weird thing. Everything's taken away from him, and he sat there with nothing, bald, right? He has nothing. And the same thing that Jesus did. Jesus removed all, quote unquote, glory from himself. He removed himself away from that. and literally just became a man. And so he had to use what we would call faith. He had to use it the way we did. I know people don't like to hear that because they're like, no, he's God. He did whatever he wanted. No, bro. I can't stand when people say that. He did not just do whatever he wanted. If that was the case, bro, all this wouldn't have to be played out. He wouldn't have to been here for 30 years walking in this world. He didn't have to do any of that, but he endured it. He did it on purpose. So he had to try humility. Yes, he had to use humility. And first of all, let me say this. It's not like it was hard for him to do that because he is God, okay? But what he did is he came into this world and he had to use faith the way we use it. He had to use it that way. But he has complete access to it because he's it. Jesus is faith. Faith is a servant. In the entire Bible, faith is the servant in the Bible, and he is it. So he still had to endure hurting feet, hurt knees. He had to go through these. It's really weird for anyone to even or not anyone to see it this way, but it's weird even for us who are born again, for us to look at this and say, man, it's so weird. The Bible says that when the great day comes, right, we will see him for what he is, and we'll see ourselves. We'll no longer see darkly, like we'll have full understanding. But right now, what we do understand, even though this was God, it still was difficult for him to do in the body that he was in, okay? Not that it was difficult for him, but in the body that he was in, it was difficult because he came in the likeness of man. Not that he was a man sinful, but he was in the likeness of a man. So it still was hard on he still had bones, right? The Bible even prophesied that no bone will be broken. So I'm saying all this because he removed everything from himself. And this is what we see Job do. Job cuts his hair. He cuts all of his hair off. He's literally at a turning point in his life. But in his heart, he's like, there is no way that I'm going to curse God. So this proved that Job, the man, had a contrite heart. 100% he did. He could not understand how are these things happening to me until we start seeing all his friends talk to him. And it just so happens to be that the youngest friend, it was the youngest friend that spoke wisdom to him. And the Bible says, be like the younger. Especially yesterday, we were reading how Jesus was saying, the one that's the greatest among you, let him be the youngest. But we see that truth in the Old Testament everywhere. So that's why I'm that's why I'm going over Job. Nebuchadnezzar, if you go study Nebuchadnezzar, black letters on a white page, it says that he was removed from men. It says that he chewed the cud like an ox, or he chewed the grass like an ox. The dew of heaven came. His hair grew like feathers. His fingers or his nails like claws of birds. It's a very disruptive way to explain a human. But what this is talking about is how this is what happens to everyone that comes to the Lord, where we are removed from men. It's talking about men of the world. We're removed from men. The chewing of the cud like an ox is talking about his opinion. It's talking about the big ones, the ones that help you soar or fly. It just describes his hair like that. It doesn't say that his hair was feathers. It says his hair grew back like eagle's feathers, meaning thick, because it's pointing out faith, that his faith grew like Samson's hair began to grow back. And then the claws it's referring there is talking about cloven feet. So now Nebuchadnezzar at this point, he chewed the cud and he had cloven feet. In the book of Leviticus, God starts telling men what animals are good to eat and what animals are not good to eat. And it says if they have to do two things: chew the cud and have cloven foot, right? So the rabbit or the coney, the way it says even though it chews the cud, it doesn't have a cloven foot, so don't eat it. The swine, even though it has a cloven foot, it doesn't chew the cud. It has to do both. And Nebuchadnezzar happened to do both. He chewed the cud and he had cloven foot, which means you can eat of him. It's the same kind of eating Jesus was talking about when he said, if you don't eat of me, you'll never have everlasting life. So we're starting to kind of get into something else, but I'm just showing you how all this is pointing to truth. So the dew of heaven that fell on Nebuchadnezzar came after he chewed the cud, which is the word. That's the baptism of the Holy Spirit. That's the dew of heaven. This is not physical water, right? There was no physical water that was taking place. Now, in Nebuchadnezzar's life, it was physical, right? All the things that happened to him, he did chew the grass like an ox. Physically, all these things actually did happen to him. But spiritually, what they point out, and matter of fact, when all this happened, Nebuchadnezzar says, and my reasoning came back, my reasoning and understanding came back to me, and I glorified God. It literally is pointing out a spiritual truth that when we get into the word, that we will receive faith from chewing of the cud. The Bible says, what does Paul say? Or better yet, we can use the one faith come by hearing. But I mean, it's pointing to the same thing. Faith come by hearing, and hearing of the word of God. So he chewed the cud, which is the word. His hair began to grow. Why? Because faith comes by hearing, or muttering, which is enumerating, chewing the cud. So hearing is not always audibly. You can read something and hear the word inside, right? What is that? Oh, hold on a second, guys. Be right back. All right, Nate, so there's a small tidbit for you, man. Hopefully you go to the YouTube and look up, where's my pen? Go to the YouTube and try to see if you can find through the live area something that's describing hair or something like that. If not, there should be something by now. So I'm hoping that helped. Give me a thumbs up if it helped, man. I'd appreciate that. Did that help you a little bit? I kind of actually talked about a whole lot of things. I just kind of went through there quickly just so you can have some sort of foundation in what I'm saying. All right, appreciate it, man. Anytime you got a question, man, just come up and holler at me. You might have to remind me that you're a co-worker of my brother's. That way I keep remembering who you are. A lot of things. Oh, you're welcome, bro. All right, guys, let's get back to Esther. All right, so Esther 9. We need someone else to read Esther 9. Who's going to read that?
I can read it.
Nina's like, it's always me. It's always me.
No. No, I try to stay quiet to see if somebody else wants to read.
It's all right.
All right. So, 9:1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in the cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahazerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan, the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men. And Parshadatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Poratha, and Adalia, and Aridatha, and Parshmashta, and Arisai, and Aridai, and Vahezatha, the 10 sons of Hmon, the sons of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they. But on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace, was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Hmon. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto the day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. The decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for the day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
All right, let me say this real quick.
The Jews that were in Shushan.
Let me say this real quick. Okay, so, but notice it keeps saying that they unalive all these people, but they didn't take the spoil, right? Where it says they slew of their foe of 75,000, but they laid not their hands on the prey, which is the spoil. Usually when people went to war, they would take the spoils of war, whether it be gold or animals or whatever. But notice that's not what's happening here. They're not taking the spoil. What was told to King Saul? And he said, if you would have listened to him, your kingdom would have reigned forever. What did God tell him to do?
Slay everything and everyone, and not take the
everything. So did he heed? Did he listen to the wisdom of God and unalive everything?
No, sir.
No, he didn't. He took the animals, and then he tried to convince the prophet and say, "Oh, I was going to use them to give a sacrifice to God." And it's like, bruh, that's not what you were told to do. So you notice that wisdom, he did not listen to wisdom. But this is how you know that wisdom is doing this, because not only are the unalivings taking place, but they're not taking the spoil of war, because that's not the point that's being made. The point that's being made is talking about unaliving the enemies of God, getting rid of that. And notice How many main people were unalived? Haman and who else?
His 10 sons.
Right, but what's the other? There's another name that's given. Let's see. Let's see.
Hey, Trout, while you're looking at, we see King Saul does this when he doesn't wait for Samuel for the sacrifice, and he does the sacrifice for himself as well. So he does it twice.
Yeah.
His disobedience. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, remember, why is he able to disobey? How is he able to do that?
No wisdom.
Right, the wisdom. He's not listening to wisdom because he's told what to do. But you know what's funny? He has to have kept to be told, like, he continuously has to be told what to do. And that's the whole thing. He's not one accord with God because God still has to use another man to tell him what to do. When you have the Spirit of God living in you, you are already in one accord with him. Already. So when Jesus was here, Jesus was 100% in one accord with God. That's why he said, I only say and do what I see and hear my Father do and say. He was in one accord. That a prophet have to go up to. So what made it easy for Saul to fall is he wasn't in one accord with God. He had to keep being told what to do. It's like a ingredient for failure. Wouldn't it be better if you were hooked up to God, USB-C to USB-C connection?
So it would be better.
Yes,
It'd be-
absolutely. Direct line.
Yeah, direct line. But Saul did not have a direct line. He had a prophet. And some people would say, well, that's a direct line. That's not the same thing as God dwelling on the inside of you. It's not the same thing. Not even a little bit. So this is why God said, let me be your king. And they said, no, we're going to pick one. They said, let us pick one. So he said, okay. And then he told the prophet, look, make sure you tell them that when they choose a king, that this man is going to do this. And he told them, this is what he's going to do. And it's in a very weird way. It's not like God is like, all right, let me let y'all do it so y'all can learn. I mean, that's not the only reason. It's not the only reason. God does not push himself on anybody. So if that's what they wanted, he's like, okay, fine, here you go. But let me tell you what he's going to do. So he warned them that if you choose a man to be your king, this is what he's going to do. He's going to take your children to war. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. It's no different than what happened in the garden. The Garden of Eden was not just a bunch of set of rules. God didn't just say, don't eat of this tree because I said, and you better do what I tell you to do. No, he warned him, if you eat of this tree, you shall die. Just like he said to them, listen, if you pick a man to be your king, let me tell you what's going to happen. So was God trying to give them rules and regulations? If you disobey me, these bad things are going to happen to you? No. But that's what people have turned the story of the Garden of Eden, referring to Adam eating of the tree. It was all about he disobeyed a commandment. That has been preached for so long, people think that that's true. And they go, well, didn't he disobey him? Oh, my God. Yeah, but that's not, of course he disobeyed him, but that's not the nucleus of the issue. That is not the empowerment of the problem. That's not the empowerment. The empowerment of the problem is God warned him. It was a warning. It wasn't a commandment. It was a warning. This was not a thus saith the Lord 10 commandment. That's not what this was. So when he told the people, do not, or not do not, but he told the people, if they do this, I need to warn them that he's going to take their young men, take them to war. He's going to take their wives and daughters and make them handmaids. And he told them this, he warned them. So again, this is not about breaking commandments. He was warning them, this is the consequences if you choose this path. So the consequences for Adam to choose the path of listening to Lucifer, because that's who they listened to. It wasn't a physical fruit. No, it wasn't.
Unknown caller.
Does anybody know Nashville Lavelli? Question up.
The what? Anybody know what?
This gentleman requesting up. I asked him if he had a question. Does anybody know him?
Let me see. I'm trying to look for the person's name. What is it?
I put it Nashville.
What does the picture look like?
New request. He's in the request box.
Oh.
Bali.
Yeah, no, I don't know who that is. Let's see. Nashville, what's up? Nashville, what's going on, man? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
What's up, man? What's on your mind?
I can hear. I don't know. It's different than a breath of fresh air to actually hear people talking about God.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're definitely talking about him, man.
You go in some of these other rooms, it's talking about Trump and all the rest of it. It sounds like a bunch of like a dog fight or something.
Well, I mean, hey, there ain't nothing wrong to have a conversation for a short period of time, but you definitely gotta be careful. So, we're going to continue to talk about Esther. If you want to hang out, man, you sure can.
All right.
Yeah, just go ahead and mute your mic, man, while you listen in.
Mute my mic, okay.
Yeah. All right.
So, Trot, you were asking about who was hanged, and in 7 through 10, it talks about the 10 sons. The only other name I saw in there is the father of Hmon.
Yeah, which is it sounds like Haman. What is his name?
Hammedatha.
Yeah, that's who I was looking for. Where'd you say it was at?
Yeah. It's in 10.
Oh, I see it right here. Yeah,
And
10 sons
all
of
the other
Haman,
ones are 7.
the sons of Hammedatha. Okay, let me see where. Let me see, 100. Does it mention 2 groups of 10, or is it talking about the same 10? I can't remember.
Let me see.
Smite their enemies by the sword. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so verse 9 are 10 names, which is the 10 sons, and it says, and on the day the number of them slain, 12.
Right, then you go down to 13, and it says Haman's 10 sons be hanged up upon the gallows. So
Yeah, right. Okay, so it just mentions the same 10 sons, right?
right.
Okay. Yeah, but the other name I was looking for was Haman's, because it says the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hammedatha. So I'm guessing that's Haman's dad.
Yeah. Because it says the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha.
Oh, okay. Well, in the King James Version, it says the sons, plural. But it's...
I'm in the King James.
I am too.
10, it says the 10 sons, plural, of Haman, the son, singular, of Hammedatha.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, my King James has sons both time, plural, both time.
Okay.
Yeah. What do y'all got? Y'all got both of them sons, or one is? First of all, it's referring to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, because Hammedatha is the father of Haman. I know that, but it is showing plural. I'm not saying that it means. What I'm saying is the 10 and Haman himself are all considered sons of Hammedatha. You understand?
Oh, yeah, I understand now.
Yeah. But does anybody have both of those plural? Anybody else?
It only says son on my
Okay.
teaching.
I'm talking about I just want, okay. Does anybody else have two plural sons there, is what I'm asking. Anybody? No? I guess I'm the only.
The verse again, please, y'all. Sorry.
It's 9:10.
Esther 9:10. It says the 10 sons of Haman, the son or sons of Hammedatha. Do you got two sons, or do you have a sons and a son? I'm just curious. However,
One son.
Faith, yeah, you told us your answer. I'm trying to hear everybody else. Anybody else?
I got the same Bible as you, so it's gonna have the same thing you would have.
All right, so it has.
Of course, big fella has the X on there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, but again,
I'm just joking. I'm
yeah,
just joking.
but again, I bet you if we go to the Hebrew, it's going to point to the plural because it's referring to all of them, all 11, the 10 sons of Haman and Haman. Okay, just so y'all know that's why it's like that. But he's still the son of Hammedatha, though. Somebody look up Hammedatha. I don't recall what that means. Haman's dad. What does his name mean?
I got it.
So it's H4099, and it means double.
Double. Okay.
Yep.
All right. What number are we on? I think you read all the way to 17, right?
9. Oh. Okay,
yes
right.
or no?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we're on Esther 9, starting at 18. Go ahead.
Alrighty. But the Jews that were in Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day thereof, and on the 15th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things, and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahazerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast that is, the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons would be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every
All right.
year.
All
And
right, check it out.
Mhm.
All right, so 25, I'm going to start at 25. It says, but when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he had devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, again, talking about the gallows, and that he and his sons be hanged on the gallows. It says, wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, talking about the lot, like casting lots, like kind of like, what are the odds? You know what I mean? And it says, therefore, for all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come upon them, the Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, a bunch of commas here, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writings and according to their appointed time every year. So what is it that they're recalling? What are they remembering?
Enliven.
Do what?
Enliven.
Yeah, they're remembering how this turned around and bit Naaman in the butt. Right? It says, but when Esther came before the king, he commanded by the letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head. So for 2 days, this is something that they would remember. It says that they did this for 2 days. I just want you to keep that in mind. All right, where are you at, Nina? 27. Go ahead with 28. Go ahead and start at 28 and just finish it up.
All right. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. Then Esther, the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the feast of the fastings and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Just go ahead and continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And the king Ahazerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahazerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The end. Dun, dun, dun. All right, but 10, look how 10 is described. It says, and King Xerxes laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might and declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings and Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto the king. What does that mean? Next unto the king. It was a right-hand man, right? Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is no different than the story of Joseph. Right?
Yep, I see it.
Right. Okay. And it says, so watch this. It says, for Mordecai the Jew was next unto the king. It's his right-hand man. And it says, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. So if he's speaking peace unto all his seed, that means he brought good news to all his seed, right? So that means that he was a peacemaker. Mordecai was. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So how does the story of the book of Esther start off really all about Esther? But when we end it, it's not all about Esther, it's about Mordecai. Do you understand what I'm saying? Every time you hear someone talk about the book of Esther, they only talk about Esther. But the end of it points to Mordecai. Why?
Because he's a shadow of Christ.
What does Mordecai's name mean again? Somebody look it up. Don't guess.
How coincident the book of Esther is the only book that doesn't mention God.
Well, it's not the only one. There's a couple. The Songs of Solomon. But yeah, the book of Esther is one that doesn't mention God, right? And we talked about that, I want to say the first part. I don't know, maybe you weren't here, Bill, or maybe
I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, so we talked about it in the first part. It's one of the first things I brought up is why is God not mentioned in the book? So you probably should go listen to that. It's actually pretty cool. But Mordecai, who's got the name?
In the Strongs, it says, little man.
Yeah, little man. It's funny that Mordecai, his name means little or little man. Jesus tells what?
No, it's funny. It says little man or worshiper of Mars.
Yeah, worshiper of Mars. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it does say little man, what it says. He was like trot size, like not a very big guy, you know. But it's funny because when Jesus starts talking about things that are little, what does he say? How many verses can you think of? Huh?
Do not despise small beginnings.
Right. Don't despise small beginnings. Did Mordecai have one?
Yeah.
All right. So there's one. What else? Nobody?
He found favor over God because he became a right hand to an enemy.
No, I'm saying the word little. When Jesus talks about small or little, what does he talk about?
The children.
Yeah, if you mess with the little children. Now, obviously, you don't want people trying to hurt kids. Okay, clearly, I get that. But all of us are his little children. So when he says that we come to him as a child, all of us do. Because when you're born again, you're a baby. That's why first the Bible talks about you give babies milk. And then Paul gets mad because he says, I come to you with meat, but it's like you're still babies, and I have to give you milk. He talks to them this way. So there is a point that when someone is born again, you are a child of God and you need to come to him like a child. Not in the sense that your whole life that you need to remain stupid and come to him like a child. No, when you get born again, you come to him like a child, okay? But there is a point that you become weaned and you understand. You don't have to keep coming to him like a child. It's so crazy that people think that your whole life you act like you're not maturing. It doesn't mean that you still can't come to him with questions, but in this world, you should not be acting like you still are on baby food. That's what Paul is saying. You should be eating meat by now. But I still have to give you milk, he says. So to God, we will always, quote unquote, look as a child. That's clear. But to act like you're still supposed to be one in this world is very immature, and it's wrong. It's wrong teaching. That's a lie. At some point, even Hebrews tell us, let's move on to perfect teachings. Let's move on to more perfect teachings. Not again laying on of hands, talking about, the things of the cross and all that. He goes over this spiel like, why are y'all still talking about that? So I saw somebody put in the chat, little faith. Yes, that's actually the point that I'm getting to, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about these other things. He said, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, notice mustard seed's very small. It's very small, but he's still talking about a whole seed. He didn't break the mustard seed and take a piece of it and said, look, if you just got a piece of it, not like that. But he is talking about a seed, that if you have at least a seed, right? Again, that's not despising small beginnings. So he says, "O ye of little faith," he says to Peter. But Peter did walk on water. He had all the faith he needed. So the word little there, when you go study in the Greek, it means time. It doesn't mean size. Jesus did not say, you don't have enough faith. He said, you of little time, because he did walk on water. He either walked on water or he didn't. So if he was able to walk on water, but yet he was lacking, he didn't have enough of it, he wouldn't have been walking on the water at all. But he did walk on water because his eyes were on Jesus, who is faith. But when he took his eyes off Jesus and he focused on the boisterous winds, notice that they're on a sea. It's talking about the world. He started focusing on the world. That's why the Bible tells us that, especially in the book of Revelation, we see that the sea's not there, because the sea is what holds the Leviathan, which is that world, that sea. It's not going to be here anymore, right? So here it says, Mordecai, his name means little man. That's what his name means, little man. The only thing Mordecai had was faith. That's it. And he had his faith in wisdom. If you pay attention, and I know women are not going to like this, but you pay attention to this story, the whole story is about Mordecai. That's what it's about. But Mordecai used wisdom because Esther represents wisdom in this story. Does that take away from the true story? No, there really was a woman named Esther. All those things are true. A woman actually did go to King Xerxes and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. It's all true. But in God's world, what's happening here is a man trusted wisdom. Because wisdom in the entirety of the Bible is the only thing that is beautiful in God's eyes. Fair. That's why it talks about Xerxes. He had great favor over Esther. He loved her more than all the women. He loved her. And when a man chooses the wisdom of God over the hers in this world, and I'm not talking about how men have women like your wife and stuff like that. No, it's talking about the other belly, your other desire, whatever that may be. When you choose God's wisdom, which the attribute of wisdom in the Bible is her and she, when you understand that Deborah, right, meaning honeybee, that Deborah's name, meaning honeybee, is pointing to wisdom. again, Barak was the judge. Even the Bible tells us Deborah was the judge because wisdom herself is the judge to all men of God, all of them, not just Barak. That's why she's only put in there one time. But that's why Barak says, I'm not going to war unless you go with me. Mordecai's saying the same thing. We cannot do this without you. This whole time, the Bible is pointing to a truth that is all pointing to God himself. That Esther and Deborah are representing wisdom. That's what they're representing. Meaning that we are supposed to listen to God. We're not supposed to listen to anything else. We're supposed to trust in him. The book itself is called Esther. That's what the book is called. But the whole story is actually about Mordecai. And it looks like it's all about Esther. That's why God is not mentioned in the entire thing. Because Esther is representing the wisdom of God. That's what the whole story is actually about. It's about Mordecai. But you don't see a lot of him in there. You see Esther doing a whole lot. But what people are...
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw this a little while back, and I was like, okay, now you just confirmed it. So Xerxes, right?
Yeah.
In a way, is representing Adam in a way, right? Because he got tricked by Hmon, right? And there was this ruling that came out of it that had to have provision made. Like
okay, yeah, so Xerxes is not representing Adam. Xerxes is representing a man that without wisdom would fall.
Right, so like a fallen man.
Right, but it is representing a man, okay? It is.
Right.
Okay, it is representing a man, 100%. It is. And again, when you start getting further into what Xerxes is representing, and there's some other areas in the Bible where this is true, you'll see that Adam was not listening to wisdom. Talking about Adam in the garden. He listened to the other her. So when you get to Sarah, right, Sarah says to Abraham, hey, maybe you need to go have a baby with Hagar. So he listens to the wrong her. He's supposed to be listening to wisdom, and he doesn't.
Right, so then there was like these consequences from him listening and giving Hmon this power, but then in comes the wisdom, and then ultimately Mordecai that gave the provision for them to defend themselves and
Right. So if you want to get straight to the jugular, right, Xerxes would be representing the soul. Hmon representing the flesh, Esther representing the spirit, and he chose the spirit.
Yep.
Right?
That's nice.
Yeah. Because you see Hmon telling him something, and he's like, hey, that's a good idea. But wisdom comes in there and says, hey, I need to let you know something. Your flesh is lying to you. And he's like, oh, and he's going to trust her over the other. He's going to trust her because he favors her. So it's a wise man. That's why I said this person is representing a wise man, because even though he's king, he doesn't choose his flesh. Right? So just like a man today, you can choose your flesh to be king, your other belly. You can choose your other belly, but this one chooses. And if you pay attention to Esther, it says that she was dipped for 6 months in myrrh, right, and in sweet smelling aromas. Only the spirit has that aroma, right?
Amen.
Yeah. So in the entire story, this whole time, something that was hidden that people cannot see because the carnal mind only sees the black letters on the white page. It doesn't see anything else. So anyone is anyone is or anyone can possibly be fooled by the flesh that the only thing that this story is pointing out is how a woman saved a bunch of people. You know, it sounds, like sexist to say, well, sorry to tell you, it's not really about the woman. But in a sense, it's not about a physical woman only. Even though in real life, 100% this woman did this. But what has been authored inside of this story, and not easy to be seen at first, but when you study this, especially Deborah was the judge or helper judge of all judges. Every one of them. In the story of Samson, don't you see the honey and bees there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it. And notice it says
and Mordecai sat at the king's gate like the entire time.
The entire time. Yeah, which is the heart. He sat there.
And when she was getting perfumed and gotten ready, the first thing they do is they scorch their skin. They literally scrub it off.
Yeah. Yeah, she was getting perfected.
Prepared, yeah.
Yeah. So in order for this to work out, what you see is Mordecai is only focused on wisdom. That's all he's focused on. And so because he's only focused on wisdom, then it was wisdom that was telling him not to kneel at the flesh. So notice how you have Haman and Mordecai, they hate one another. Well, the Bible says that the spirit and flesh are enmity. They can't stand one another. Right? Right. And the only one that can make decisions on what's going to happen is the king, which is the soul. It's the only one that can make a choice. So Haman tells the soul, hey, let this thing happen. Esther, which is representing the wisdom of God, the spirit, okay, comes and tells him something different. But out of the two, he sees Esther as beautiful because he has pleasant sight. He doesn't have, but the pleasant sight that he has is of the spirit, not of the flesh in this story here. So, but again, just like Deborah, same thing. Deborah, which is representing the wisdom of God, she is the one that goes with all the judges. You just see it being played out in Barak. Barak said, I will not go if you don't go with me, because Deborah goes with all the judges. She's always there. It's not just one time. She's not a judge one time. She is representing the wisdom of God, and she's with every judge, not just one. So it looks like she is the judge in the story of Barak. No, Barak is the judge. Notice he's the one that has to go to battle. It's him. So he comes to her and says, hey, we got to go to battle. And it looks like he's like, hey, you need to lead us. Like if she just needs to be there with him. No, he's going to wisdom, saying, I'm not going without you. There's only one in the Bible that a man would say, I'm not going without you. And that's the wisdom of God. Right? Same thing with Esther. Even though Esther, the book is called Esther, but because it shows us that Esther has two names and her full name is Tree Star. That's what her name is. So the book is not technically named after the physical female woman. It's named after the spirit. That's what the book is actually called. Fire Tree or Tree Star. So the whole time the story is actually about Mordecai. That's why it ends the way that it ends. It says, it's the last chapter, 10, and it says, and the king Xerxes laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might, and the declaration of greatness of Mordecai. How come 10 is not all about Esther? Why is it about Mordecai? That's the reason. Because Mordecai trusted in the wisdom of God. That's why it's all pointing to Mordecai. And it says, the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles and the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto the king, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren. And what does the Bible say that Jesus did? How does it tell us? That he got favor with God and men? Right?
Right, right.
And Mordecai, because of wisdom, has the favor between the king and the people.
So we could see her as the vessel that the Spirit used.
Talking about Mordecai?
No, Esther.
Do what now? Say again?
That Esther would be like the vessel that the Spirit used to show favor.
Yeah, so in the real life Esther, yes, Esther would be considered a vessel that God used, right? But in the allegorical, parabolical truth of the story, Mordecai would be the vessel that God used. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Because he used Esther essentially to get
wisdom.
the job done.
Yeah, he used wisdom. That's why in verse 10, the main thing that said, let me just finish reading this, and it says, isn't it written in the Chronicles of Media and Persia, for Mordecai the Jew was next unto Xerxes, a great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people and speaking peace to all his seed. So in 10, or matter of fact, let me see, it says, okay, anyway, yeah, so in verse 10, chapter 10, the last chapter, I'll just use the word that it says in 10. It says, and the king Xerxes laid tribute upon the land and the isles of the people in the face of the acts of pure might, declaration of great. This is right here. In all the acts of his power and his might and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai. The greatness of Mordecai whereunto the king advanced him. So this whole thing was pointing to the greatness of Mordecai. But what made Mordecai great? Wisdom, right?
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, just like Barak. Why was Barak a good judge? Wisdom. Deborah, honeybee. It's the only reason.
Yeah, I see the similarities on both stories there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right, we finally got it done. Man, been waiting to finish Esther.
It was well worth it, bro.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
Yeah, it was.
I gotta go see the video on Esther on YouTube.
Yeah, there's I think this is going to be 4. So there's 4 of them. So you go check out Esther 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna have to change the picture on it. I think I do have a picture that I've been using. Let's see. Oh man, what'd I do? All right. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to point out the league today. It's getting harder and harder. Oh man, what did I do? Listen, you stage 2 and unlock rewards. Oh, let's see. Diamonds prize pool. I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what that is. All right, let me get back to this. Man, what's going on here? Okay. Bro, bro, I don't know what are you doing? I'm not asking you to do any of that. I'm trying to get right here. All right, here we go. All right, so right now we are top. Man, I told you B5 ain't gonna be no joke. Like we're already earlier we were at top 10%, and right now we're at 17, and we have to stay in the 20% in order to get to B4. So I knew B was going to be a lot harder, man. I really did. It's already proven it right now. All right, let me get out of that. We stayed on. We stayed on yesterday, man, till I want to say 11 o'clock. I think we stayed on. I started the live probably around 6 or 7. So it was like a 4-hour live in the evening, which usually the live in the evening is only an hour, maybe 2. Nighty night, but God. I hate when y'all say that. It kills me. But God. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions regarding Esther? Anybody? If so, throw it out there. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. I see what it is now. Cineo. I don't know. I thought I was following you already. I guess not. I just followed you though, Cineo, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I'm going to read. Oh, man, let's go. Get that out of there. So 9 more hours. Okay, I could have went daily raking right there. Okay, well, I think somebody tried to level that out, put us back to 12%. So that's good. I mean, it'd be great if we can make it to B4, but I want everybody to know if we don't maintain B, I don't think anybody's going to be mad at anybody or upset. I want to make that real clear. I understand the achievement to get to B4 because we never been there before. That'd be great. And I have noticed the numbers have went up tremendously on people viewing because of that. So it's no lie. It is true. And there's been lots of people sending me more messages. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't want anyone to think that like somehow we're going to get upset if we don't maintain. That's, I mean, you know, there's only about, I think the highest it got today might have been 70, 4 hours. Naughty night. What are you saying? This is not a battle team. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, misunderstood. Y'all will see what she's talking about. Like the battle people are nuts on here. But I will say this, misunderstood. I will say this. The league that you're in, it does bring more people. I mean, it does. 100%. I understand we're not in a battle, but I've been paying attention, and it does bring more people to the live. So it's kind of like TikTok. Oh, man, that's actually pretty cool. Oh, bro. Oh, I hate that. Yes, it does. It does. I kept keeping up with it over and over, and I hated it. I hate to admit it, but the way TikTok set up this league thing, the higher the league you're in, the more they push out your content. I mean, I hate it. I'm going to have to admit it on both sides. I like that the content gets pushed out like that. It's brought a lot more people to the live. I want to say ever since we got back into C is when we started getting more followers again. And so we've gotten a couple of hundred from the time that we got back to C to all the way through this B journey. It's about the money. Yeah, for TikTok it is. For TikTok, 100% it is. And to be honest with you, when you create something like this, I mean, it is what it is, right? That doesn't mean that us have to be in love with money, right? The Bible says that's the root of all evil, but we know that money is a tool. And I always tell people, if you can't pay your bills, you should not be giving nothing here. I don't, nope. You know, that's, man, you know, that's a lot of church hurt that I've seen, not just growing up. No, but got to play the game. Yeah, you do. If you want, again, that's why money's a tool. Money is a tool. Listen, make it real clear. You know, money is a tool. If you cannot pay your bills, don't come over here and give. You go to one of those churches that make you feel bad for not giving. You can go over there and give. Don't you give me your gas money for the week, please. Lord have mercy. I'm not here for that. I'm here to talk about Jesus. And if people can pay their bills and they say, hey, you know what? I get a lot from Descaled, and I'm going to give in hope that more people can find. I understand that money's a tool, but I'm telling you, I have seen it too many times where people are giving money to churches because of misunderstanding of Scripture, and they can't even pay their own bills. And now there's, arguing and fights because everybody is hoping on the message, the prosperity message that the more you give, the more you'll get, and that's not the case. It's not like that. If you cannot pay your bills, it is not like that, bro. It's just going to bring hard times is what it's going to do. So, yeah.
I went to a church recently, and when they give their offering, they literally, I had to leave. They were like, put your offering up in the air. Seed.
Yep.
Grow.
Yep. Seed grow. Yep. I know, and you feel bad. You feel bad for laughing, but wrong teaching will always lead to wrong living. But right teaching will lead. You have more peace when you understand that you are not under a demand to give anything. And I always tell people this all the time. If you do go to a brick and mortar church, understand, I want everybody to understand what it is I'm saying. If you go to a physical church building and your wife goes, or I'm just speaking from a guy's perspective, and you have kids and they enjoy like festivities that occur there, what in the heck? There is nothing wrong for you going up to the person that's running this and say, hey, can I help you with some finances? Again, I'm saying if you have to give. If you can't pay your bills, you don't give your electrical bill to the church and then hold it up in the air and say, okay, Lord, I'm giving you my last 2 pennies. I'm not telling you that that's what you need to be doing. But I am going to say that if your kid is eating the food, playing the games, and doing all these things, I don't care if everybody paid enough for your kid to do it. You should give them something in thanks that your kid is blessed enough to go to a place where the people there care enough to make a program, for God's sakes, to make sure that your kid is not focused on other things in the world. It's not okay to just drop your kids off at the YMCA. You understand? Well, it's free on the weekends or whatever, bro. Or you let your kids go to a place like that and you got to pay $100 a month. You might as well give that $100 a month to a church. I don't care if it's a full tithe or not. Give that money to somebody that is going to help your kids get some Christ in them, for God's sakes. All you have to do is look at yourself or look at other kids that you grew up with that probably had a horrible life because the parents didn't do that. But if you have money to give to those people that are helping, I'm not saying they're babysitting your kids. I'm saying they're actually making your kids become proactive into the things of God. And you're going to sit there and say, I'm not going to give them any money? Bro, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. Don't misunderstand. If you don't have the money to give, don't even beat yourself. I tell people all the time, if you don't have the money to give, bro, and you go home and beat yourself up and say, oh, I just feel bad that I can't. I don't know who taught you to think like that. You should be going up to those people and telling them, I don't have the money, but I want to tell you I'm so thankful. There is something you can do. You can help babysit or whatever you want to call it. Like if they got one of the games, you can be one of the person running the games. What's wrong with giving your time? It's funny to me when people say, well, I don't have money to give. But then again, they don't have time either. What? I understand why some people don't have time, because they're using their time to make the money so they can give. But now you're going to tell me you don't have a job, you don't have money to give, and you don't have time either? You're a liar. You're a liar at that point, and that is foolishness. That makes no sense. You don't have to go to every program. For God's sakes, you don't got to go to every program. At least make the freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So you can't do nothing? You're a lazy person. You ought to be spanked with a paddle. That makes no sense. You always have an excuse why you can't do something, why you can't give something. You're acting like you're unalived in the grave. You're not. You're still breathing. For God's sakes, God, go teach 1 + 1, for God's sakes. Something. So, again, you're not under a demand to give, but the fact that your heart doesn't want to give nothing, you might need to be saved. Something's wrong with you. God is a giver. He's not a taker. It is Satan who is a taker. Him, not you. You shouldn't have attributes of Satan. Why in the world do you feel like I'm going to bring my kids and take? What? Something's wrong with you. The Bible said, Jesus made it very clear that if all you're trying to do is save your life, meaning it's all about me, you lose your life. You'll be one of those people, 20 years will go by, and you'll say, I don't know where 20 years went. Yeah, you know where it went? To trash, because you did nothing with it. Don't be that person. At some point in your life, you have to be tired of being sick and tired, and life is not all about you anymore. At some point, you have to say, life is not just all about me. And look around you. What can you do for somebody? You don't have to, we're not talking about give 23 hours a day to somebody, but you're telling me you can't give somebody an hour? This is what the Bible is talking about when it says that the king comes back and says, hey, you, the one I gave a penny to, what'd you do with it? Well, Lord, I went and hid it because I'm a lazy, no good for nothing. Here's your penny you gave me. Bro, that is not what we would call a good steward. That's not a good steward. That's a horrible steward. The Bible calls it slothfulness. You're a lazy, no good for nothing, period, is what you are. Again, we're not talking about, I'm not talking about your past. I'm saying at some point when you're saved, where are you going to pick up the mantle? Do you know what that double portion of mantle was? Anybody know deeply what that's responding to? A double portion? Does that mean that Elisha had more power? Is that what that means? You know who thinks that? That Elisha had more power, a very greedy, fishy from the sea type person. Greed. I want a double portion. I want more power. No. That's not what that means. That means more servitude. Do you understand? More servitude. The attribute of Jesus is a giver, a servant. He asked for a double portion so his heart can be open to give more. And I'm not talking about money, for God's sakes. I'm saying giving yourself to serve people, your heart. But now we have a triple portion. And that triple portion is Father, Son, Holy Spirit, which is spirit, soul, and body. Because now we can get our flesh on board. Before, our soul was crying out. Now our spirit came. Now we have soul and spirit one. And now Paul says, casting down those imaginations and making that imagination, that mind under the obedience of Jesus. Now we can get our physical body in action in this world, because this body has to use what we have on the inside of us, which is a soul that cried out for redemption. We became redeemed. We have a spirit that lives on the inside of our soul. And when we can get our flesh to do what those two are already, the Bible calls what? A three what? Three what? Nobody? Nobody. Not one person knows what I'm talking about. Something is not easily broken. What's not easily broken? Yes, given grace. That's right. Three chord. Okay. Right. Okay. That's because we are spirit, soul, and body. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Father, Son, Holy Spirit is God's spirit, soul, and body. He made us in his image, in his likeness. We are spirit, soul, and body because he is spirit, soul, and body. He didn't make us different. It said we were made in his image, in his likeness. Not under the first Adam, but the last. We're made in his image, in his likeness. So a three-strand cord is not easily broken. So once the soul and the spirit understand. Well, first of all, when the soul understands what the Spirit is telling it, right? The Esther, the Deborah, the tree star, the honeybee, which is pointing to wisdom. Once wisdom speaks to the soul acknowledges that that's the truth, tells the flesh to shut up and says, let's go. That's why it's not easily broken. That's the reason. Now, by faith, our soul tells our flesh what to do based on the truth, the wisdom that's in it or in us. Right? So don't be a shameful steward. Whatever you can give towards God, you don't do it just because like you think you have to give something to God. No, it should naturally happen. Right? The fruit is the byproduct of who you are. You will know them by their fruit. This is not telling you to go find someone who's a sinner and say, oh, you'll know them by their fruit. No. This is telling you you'll know who they are regarding Christ because of the fruit of Christ. It's referring to you giving, not taking. You see someone who always complains about giving. They don't want to give time. They don't want to give money. There's no giving in there, right there. I know you by your fruit. No giving. Something's wrong. How are you not giving? How is it not? Why is it I'll give to you if you give to me? My friend, you're not a true giver then. You're not a true giver. That means you're only nice to them when people are nice to you. Jesus said, how is that love? What is love then? Even the heathen act like this. The Gentiles, they always hang out with people they like and people like them. Wow, what loving people. He said, that's not love. What is love then? Love is when you're loving someone that doesn't deserve it. That's love. Now you're giving love. Do you understand? If you're just loving people who love you back, love is not there. Love is not there. Love is when someone does not deserve love and you give it to them anyway. Now you're giving something. Now you are. Not before. I'm just going to hang out with friends and family. Well, where's love at? Well, love is there. Love is love is love, and love, you know that the love is love. No, love's not there. Flesh is there. It's nothing supernatural about what you're doing. I'm going to hang out with, those people, they're just like me, or those people the same skin color, or those people talk like I talk. Those people dress like, where's love at for God? Where's forgiveness at for God? Where's that at? Nobody wants to do that. That's hard. That's hard. But when your body is telling you not to like somebody for this reason, my friend, you want some breakthrough in your life, do it anyway. Love them anyway. And you'll start having more peace in your life because you're allowing peace to do it. Your flesh is the one. It's the principle of the matter. This happened and this happened. You'll never be in peace. Never. You'll be striving and praying about it, going to the pastor, and the pastor will say, one day your breakthrough has come. If you don't ever tell your flesh to shut up, that breakthrough ain't never. You can pray all you want. You're the only one in control of your flesh. You're the only one. You want a breakthrough? At some point, you have to start telling the flesh to shut up and listen to the soul because the soul's hearing from the Spirit. Right? So you don't know how to forgive. I don't know why you quit calling out to God. Lord, he can't make it happen. You have to make it happen. You do. And all this because we talked about if you go to a church. If you go to a church and you're not giving something to that church. Again, I am pointing out. Oh, sorry, I got a crink in my neck. I am pointing out families. So if you're not part of a church with the family, that doesn't mean you're left out. I'm just being very specific about what I'm saying. Okay? If the church is somehow helping you and your family grow, you're stupid if you don't tithe. I don't know what else to tell you. That is so dumb. I don't know how people can still breathe and be that dumb. You don't think that these people are somehow helping your family in any way. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking. Again, I'm not saying the church is helping you with money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if they're helping you in any way, you should want to naturally help them back. Naturally. But you got people that they're like, well, I just don't know what that pastor's doing with that. It ain't none of your business 100% to know what they're doing. Look around the church. How do you think these things are happening out the church? How do you think they got this program or that program? How do you think, Bryant, be a cheerful giver? Yeah, the Bible says be a cheerful giver, okay? But let's say you're giving to a certain program because they're helping. Let's say you got a brother, okay? And they got like maybe, I don't know, a drug program. I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there, okay? I'm just not anybody in here. But they got a program to help people get off drugs. Your brother happens to be on them, and you like put him in this program. And they said, hey, look, I know your finances are not perfect. We got the finances. We're going to put them through this program. No problem. What? And you're not going to give them any time? You're not going to run one of the classes or, I don't know, show up with the freaking towel girded around your waist and go give people water, for God's sakes. You can't do nothing? Are you not appreciative? I'm just saying, at some point, you have to start looking at yourself. Why am I always taking and I'm never giving nothing? I don't ever give nothing. Again, we're talking about a church, a brick and mortar church. We're not talking about your family. Every time you go over there, they give you a meal and you need to give something, so you got to start paying them. We're not talking about that. I'm being very clear on what I'm talking about. Talking about a church. And I know there's a lot of people, they go, well, again, you know, we've talked about this before. Some people say, man, Descaled is my church. I understand that. I'm saying it can benefit you to have a physical church to go to. It can. It is okay to be around people. Stop making yourself believe that it's not okay to be around people. Yes, it is. It's healthy, okay? Especially if someone like me is there. They'll be your sandpaper person and help you grow. Ain't that right, Christian?
Like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I can see Christian just chewing on sandpaper all day like, oh, who led me to this godforsaken place? Oh, this dude kills me.
Canella sounded strong and firm there.
Yeah, bro. Hey, the whole time he's waiting for it. He goes, boy, I hope he names himself. But physically, being around physical people, they help you grow. Every day, some goofball is going to challenge you, and it's worse when it's in person. It's 100 times worse because you'll even think to yourself, I wonder if I thump him in the back of the ear, if anybody would tell on me, and he won't know it's me. You know, I mean, just the weirdest things can pop in your head. Obviously, you go, okay, I'm not thumping the guy in the back of the ear. I'm not doing that. Or I'm not going to make a smart aleck comment next time he speaks. But in person, it's different when you do it because you can get weird looks, and I mean, other people can see the look. But it helps you grow, man. Forcing yourself to be around people. It helps you grow, right? So, but like I said, if you're going to a brick and mortar church, if they're doing anything for you, I mean, Lord, like I said, you don't got to give them money if you don't have it. If you do, great. But go clean the toilet every once in a while. Something. Go to the parking lot and help them park. What's the problem? What's the big deal? What does it matter? You know, you don't have to be the one speaking at a physical place. It is different. Okay? Anytime I'm asked to go to a church or someplace, you know, and they want me to speak, I don't have a problem. Okay, fine. I'll speak. I remember one time a guy said, hey, you think you can mow the grass? And I was like, you know, if I didn't live over an hour away, yeah, I would. I said, but you want me to, I said, I'll do it Sunday. He's like, well, Sunday I need you to talk about something. I said, bro, so you want me to drive over there 2-3 times a week? Like, I can't do it. I can't. Like, if your church was probably 10 minutes away, I'll go mow the grass. You know, it's only on maybe 2 acres. It ain't that big. Take like 15 minutes, mow the whole thing. What's the big deal? You know, nobody's special. Like, somebody's got to clean the toilet, and then to make the same person do it. Listen, let me tell you something. If you ain't figured this out, you can't do everything. I don't change my old oil. I don't cut my own hair. Okay? I do other things with my time. So in that way, you have to start being honest with yourself. Nobody has to clean the toilet. Nobody has to. But if people get together and they hire a maid to clean the toilet's getting clean, it still has to be done. So either get your hands dirty or get your pocketbook dirty, one or the other. Okay? My heifer works a lot. She works a lot. I'm not even kidding. Okay? And now with the tree thing, the firewood thing I got going on, I'm out there chopping wood every day, selling more and more cords. It's just growing tremendously every day. I don't have time to come in here and properly clean the house. My wife definitely ain't got time. So you know what? We got a maid. She comes in here and she does it. So don't kid yourself. If there's something you're doing that's proactive, something that's beneficial for you and the person you're with, if that's somehow benefiting y'all, that you don't stop doing that and then go clean the house and then you're mad at the person you live with because they don't do it. That is the dumbest stuff. Those are the dumbest arguments. You need to find a solution. So, well, I can't clean the house. I got all this stuff to do. Well, I can't either. Use your head. You know what? You're right. Let's just hire somebody. I don't know so hard about that. Now, if you don't want to hire somebody, then guess what? One of y'all got to do it. Or y'all can just live in a pig pen. What'd you say? Tom, can I speak on what you are saying? Well, yeah. What do you want to say? Trot, you ever thought of having a church? No, I mean, it's never... I've been asked a few times to take over a few churches. You know, my wife is like, "Hey, you should do it." I don't know. I never felt led to do that. Maybe one day I might, but right now, we are the church. That's what the Bible says. So a brick and mortar church is not the church, but it's a place that we, the church, can go and make things happen. Absolutely. What are you gonna say about time? Time. Well, you got a bunch of exclamation marks there. Can I speak? Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, you know, I started with just setting up the chairs, cleaning after service, usher. That led into other ministries. It led into children's ministry, teaching, Sunday classes. There's always something to do in the church. If you ain't have finances to bless them, you know, whatever you give, whatever God puts in your heart to help pay, you know, some of the bills there, and giving. I suggest everybody should read Second Corinthians, not First Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. It's whatever God places in your heart. Don't feel ever obligated with your time on Sundays, cleaning after services, because trust me, Christians leave a mess after services.
Yeah.
So there's always something to do and to help with the church if you can financially.
Yeah. Eric said, "I make the coffee and speak when they need. Make the coffee." Eric's the man. That's what if that position was open at a physical church, like, "Hey, you think you can make the coffee? Do I get to drink any? Oh, you can drink all you want. Yep. Put me, I'll be there every Sunday." What time? Tell me what time, how do you work the machines? Oh boy, ain't nobody ever going to be empty. You hear me? Their cuppeth will runneth over. I promise. Cuppeth will runneth over. Absolutely. Just wanted to give you a hard time about not having time. Heck no, bro. Especially when it starts getting warmer. Because the time outside is good. When it gets cold, I got a little bit more time. When it's cold, because I ain't going outside a whole lot. I told myself I'm so tired of working outside when it's cold. I'm to all them years in the service, you know, everything else that I did outside all the time, chasing certain bolos. Man, you're chasing people. It's freaking 30 degrees outside. Nobody else wants to do it. Out there chasing people and it's freezing. Isn't that the scripture that describes sort of gathering together in fellowship? I don't know what scripture you're talking about, Amy. It is so...
Hebrews 10.
Oh, yeah, Hebrews 10 is. Oh, is that what she's talking about? Okay, my bad. Let's see. Not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together in the manner of sound. Yeah, you're not. Okay. The gathering doesn't have to be physical. This right here, what we're doing, this every morning that I do every day, it is church. That's what it is. Except it's just not your conventional / typical Yeah, but what do you?
Not a typical brick and mortar.
Yeah, it's not your typical, right? There's no. I don't play church politics. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. If a typical brick and mortar church person came in here, they would leave in a heartbeat, because 90% of what I'm going to point out is stuff that people don't like to talk about. You know, a lot of places they pay a pastor to like say stuff, and he gets about 25 to 30. Some people get about 70% leeway. Some do. Sometimes it's 50-50. But the people that own and run that church, they're going to tell the pastor what they want them to talk about. So they'll say, hey, can you talk about this? And give us about 25% of that, or give us about 50. We kind of want it to be like this, but the rest of it, you do it however you want. And he does what he's told. And because of that, it's hard to have vision. You're kind of stuck in the little political game because they're holding a paycheck of yours. Man, that is not freedom. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that is not. And I'm not talking about freedom. I'm not talking about America. I'm saying the spirit doesn't get a lot of say so there is what I'm getting at. Right. Try be handling out wisdom revelation like candy. Hey, because it's straight up honey. Milk and honey, bro, from the land of milk and honey. I try sharing some stuff I learned here with church people, and most of it not at all aren't. Oh no, Bubba, they aren't. But you know what? When they get tired of being sick and tired, it's not easy to find people that's ready to get off the teat. They're not ready, you know. They'd rather stay on the teat. All right, what time is it? 1:30. All right, anybody here got anything to say? Now, I will say this. I'm not saying 100% sure, but it is possible there could be an evening descale today, but I'm not going to promise anything. I'm not going to say that it's sucklings. That ain't no lie, Benny, for sure.
As long as it ain't Friday.
As long as it ain't Friday. Oh, I know. Y'all want to go to Wild Out Fridays with
No, man. My net game is on.
Oh, your net game is on. Yeah. All right, let me see. I'm going to see where we're at real quick before we, like I said, I might come on tonight. Okay, so oh man, wow, I didn't know we jumped up like that. So we are at the top 8%. We only have to be at 20%, but that's a good place to be. 10% says we'll get two fragments. 20% is one, and we only need one to go to B4. So, like I said, I did expect us to go to B4, but just being honest to the pocketbook, B, and again, we'll see when we get there. We'll play it by ear, but I'm just, from what I've seen, I think B4 might be a little more radical. If that makes any sense. So yep, that's what it says. I mean, look what it says right here. So we're at 8%, which is in that 10%. Bro, to get to 1%, you have to have 58,000. I thought it said 5. No, it says 58,000 more diamonds to get to 1%. Can you imagine what it's going to be like going to B4, B3? I mean, come on. That's whew.
The higher you go in the battle,
yeah, the
more you have to
maintain,
stay on.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's hard.
It is. I see it, bro.
Because I mod for other people, as you know, but they also battle too, so it's half and half. And so when she schedules her battles, it's a day where she sends an invite, and we have to be there, and we have to show up and show out, basically.
Man.
So showing up and showing out. If you were to battle trot somebody, we would all be there to support you, because I know that Hulk, he started battling a little bit, and when he sent the invite, some of us were there and how we helped him win a couple of games. So if you were to battle like Danny, someone, you know what I'm saying? There's no one on the other side that's a true battler that has a team that will throw universes and all of that. We'll go up, we'll come and support.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll be honest. If I was to battle, I would probably let TikTok pick the person. That's probably how I would do it. It wouldn't be somebody, the first time, it won't be somebody we all know. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had an agency, which I haven't seen any agencies sponsor any Bible study people, but if you get up there that have a lot, we hold a lot of people in your life consistently.
Yeah.
Then an agency may approach you in that, and then they will schedule battles for you.
Yeah, but like I said, the first time, I'm just being honest. The first time, if I ever decided, which I don't know, maybe one day I might, but if I ever decided to do that, the very first one, it would be a random. I would let TikTok just pick whoever. I wouldn't. It wouldn't be somebody that we all know. I just don't think that would look.
Basically, right. So basically, how that would work, that means no one would be in the box, and you'll put your invite on. And then whomever comes up, and if they want to battle, then we all have to be here. Like you're just hosting the live by yourself. You're just running Bible study with no one in the box. In order for your invites to come in on that side, no one can be in the box. So you would have to let us know today we're going to do Bible study, but we also are going to try to battle someone.
Yeah.
So then this way, no one would request up, because once people request up, you can't battle.
Right. Yeah. Well, what if somebody requests up, but I don't put them in the box? So they can't even be in the request box?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yes. But,
okay.
But how that would work, right? Because you see, if everyone were to drop right now because the live is about to end, and you have your invites for other people to come in, and since we were throwing you gifts, you may get someone who wants to battle you. Now, the only downside to that is it could be other people from other countries that may not speak English and may just want gifts to be thrown.
Yeah.
Or it could be somebody who's on a lower tier. So we're in B. It could be somebody in D League.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're in B League, so it could be another one who's in the B League. No one in A would challenge you, because A is looking for A so they can go ahead and continue, or they may, if their team is running low on funds or whatever the case may be, and they just want to keep up in the A League.
Yeah, right. Yeah. John Wellington, what'd you say? How long have you been reading the Bible? It's been about 15 years now, but the first 5 years of that was literally 12 to 15 hours a day with no days off. So, I mean, if the first 5 years was probably about 40,000 hours. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I did nothing else but dive into it. And when I got a very good foundation, then it just became, maybe 2, 3, or maybe 4 hours a day. So for the past maybe 5 years, it's probably been about 5 or 6 hours a day now. But before it was 12 to 15 hours a day. I mean, I didn't even eat some days. I'm being dead serious. Like, I would forget to eat. People laugh at that, but I'm being serious. Like, I'm just a regular dude that picked up the Bible one day, and boy, if you want to say it a certain way, I made a mistake, because once I picked it up, that was a wrap. I mean, it is what it is. So, Deftones, what's up, man? What's on your mind? Deftones, what's up? Maybe they don't know. Deftones, do you know you're live with us or what? Hello. You got something on your mind, man, or you come up here on accident? Maybe it's an accident. I guess. All right, let me check this out one more time. Okay, guys, it's already, let's say, 1:40. Well, okay. Bryant, what's up, Bryant? Everybody coming up here, ain't nobody talking. Bryant, please tell me you can hear me. It was an accident or what? Oh, man. All right, Jennifer, what's your question? Go ahead.
Well, she already dropped. I was misunderstood if she knew anything about the promotion option because I was looking at it last time.
What do you mean promotion? Like promoting what exactly?
Well, it says live promotion. And
yeah, that's saying that you can promote the live. Like if you were to hit it and because it's going to ask you, do you want to promote the live? And you hit yes, it's going to say, how much do you want to promote? $10, $20, $30, and then duration. How long do you want this promotion to go on for? 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours? So basically, if you do a 30-minute or an hour, it's saying that they're going to send a bunch of people within an hour, but our lives are usually 2 or 3. So I usually tell people that if they're going to promote the live, put it at 2 or 3 hours, because the first 30 minutes, we're kind of just joshing around. The $70. What? Misunderstood? What are you talking about? The $70? I don't know what you mean. The $70. What's $70? Oh, are you talking about the little ticket? Misunderstood. You talking about the little purple ticket?
Well, there is an option to customize the amount that you want to do it. Like what you were saying, there's different, there is one for, wait, let me see.
Oh, there's tickets.
Yes, there's one for viewers and one for followers. So yesterday morning, I'd been waiting for a couple days to promote the live, and Trot finally changed his settings, and I did a promotion for followers, and through last night we gained 37 more followers.
Yeah.
Today I did a promotion for an hour for more viewers, and today we had 3,600 viewers in an hour and 100 people that stayed in.
Yeah. Yeah, so that promotion is basically you're promoting the live, it pushes it out to more people, Jennifer. That's what that does, this live. So instead of sending money to Descaled, you're kind of look, if Descaled's going to grow, why do I have to send money? I can just promote it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's people, they don't feel comfortable giving money to people, but they may like Descaled and say, you know what? I don't want to give that goofball money. I'm just going to promote the live because I believe that what he's saying, I got some awesome stuff there. Well, who should have a problem with that? I've heard people say, hey, come on, guys, don't promote the live. Just send me the money. Bro, why would you tell somebody that? If you're about ministering to people, you shouldn't have a problem with them promoting the live. Well, why do you feel like that you have to have money sent to you? You shouldn't. Now, if somebody wants to send it to you, fine. Okay, I get it. But I don't see what it matters. I don't know why people make the ridiculous comments, to be honest. But, yeah.
The only thing, because I tried to do it last night when we were live, but it said that I had to ask permission from you first.
I could have swore I opened up. Okay, can you see the button that says promote?
Here, let me go to it.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to promote it, but see how far it'll let you go. If you try to go in there and do it, see how far it'll let you go. And I don't mean as far as actually promoting, but because anybody should be able to promote. I opened it for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I promoted yesterday morning, last night, this morning again.
Yeah. Eric, we're taking over. Yeah, the palm tree cult, like that one guy said, oh my God, is this a cult? The palm tree cult is bro, it's a show. That's just our decal. It's just our logo. That's it. We're Christians. Okay.
I'm not sure why I didn't do it last night, but it goes all the way to when I pay for it.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, it's open. The settings had an issue because I thought it was open. because I opened it before. That's how we got to B5 before. You know, but all right, let's see. Let me do my last little check here. Anybody got anything else? If not, we're going to bounce. We're going to hop off. So this was the last part of Esther, and we will get to, let me hit this thing. So we're still at 10%. Let's see. No, I mean, well, yeah, we are. We're at 8%. So we're still in that 10%. All right, if nobody has anything, guys, we're going to hop off, and it is possible that we can go live tonight. Obviously, you'll know if we do. Can we do Revelation 12? Oh, my Lord, have mercy.
First thing he said was, I have a question about Esther. Now
he's like, can we do Revelation? Yeah, Bryant, I go through Revelation, very small bits here and there. I don't go into, you can read it all you want, though, okay? Remember, you're a grown man, and all things are good. What does Paul say? Paul said, you're at liberty to do whatever you want, but not all things are good.
Not all things are profitable.
Yeah, not all things are profitable. So just remember, and people think that I don't like, I read Revelation. I actually talk to people about Revelation all the time. But when I'm on Descaled, there are so many things in the Old Testament that if you don't understand those, Revelation makes no sense. You'll just be hopping around. Before you know it, you'll say Donald Trump is the Antichrist if you ain't careful. And that goes for Ezekiel, Daniel, Revelation. These people are like, Donald Trump, it says he comes from the West. I'm like, oh my God. Bro, the West is the world. The Antichrist is going to come from the fallen world. It's not talking about America. Lord have mercy. Anyway, all right, guys, let's see. I don't know. We might. So make sure your notifications are on so you can be notified if I go live or not. And I might even put in the Discord, I might put, hey, guys, going live in 30 minutes or an hour. I might put it in there. So let's see. So if I give you a phone call, you'll talk to me about Revelation. Who is that? No. It's because of what I heard Catholics say. Yeah, Catholics say that. You ever seen that show, Kids Say the Darnest Things? They should make that about the denomination of Catholics. Catholics say the darnest things. All right, guys, God bless. We'll either see you in a little bit or we'll see you in the morning.
God bless everyone.
God bless you too.
Y'all. You
too, Faith. Have a good one. Hey, are you home yet, Faith?
Yeah, they discharged me on Monday.
All right, great.
So I'm home. Yeah.
All right, good. Hey, make sure you do push-ups.
Getting treated at home.
Make sure you do push-ups every morning, okay?
I have to laugh at that one.
All right.
About it.
All right.
Okay,
all right. God bless.
y'all.
God bless. We'll see y'all
God
soon.
Bless.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.